Hello and welcome to Aico TV episode 32. My name is Matt Powell and I'm joined this week by
Louise Cowling.
We've got an action-packed episode for you, so let's see what's coming up. So first up, we're joined by our Regional Specification Manager, Michael Coupland, who's going to be walking us through the new CO alarm regulations update in England.
We will then be joined by Simon Flint, who will be talking us through the HomeLINK app for residents.
And finally, in this week's episode, we are going to be taking a look at the Social Housing Decarbonisation Fund.
And lastly, as well as our FAQ, we will be also doing a CSR update.
So later this year, the regulations in England are going to be changing surrounding CO alarms. So our Regional Specification Manager, Michael Coupland, is going to join Holly Moore, and they're going to walk you through all the updates, everything you'll need to know. Let's take a look how they got on.
Hello, I'm Holly Moore. I'm a Marketing Executive at Aico, and today I'm joined by Michael Coupland. He's a Regional Specification Manager for the North East, and today he's going to be telling us a little bit about the new regulations that are coming in for carbon monoxide alarms for rented properties in England. So hi Mike, thanks for joining us.
Morning Holly, not a problem.
So can you just start off by telling us a bit about why the new regulations are being put in place?
Yes, so it's essentially been brought into place to bring this fire safety and CO safety within social housing at the same level it's been in rented regulations since 2015. So it's now going to make it mandatory for all social housing providers, whether it be a local authority or whether it being a housing association, to have carbon monoxide alarms fit within any rooms that they've got fixed combustion appliance by the 1st of October, and also levelling up the smoke alarms within them properties as well, making sure they've got a smoke alarm at each level of the property.
Okay, so I believe already as well that most social landlords are exceeding that with the smoke alarms.
They
anyway.
are certainly, yes.
Yeah.
So in regards to smoke alarms, so it's saying with this new legislation, they need to fit essentially to an LD3 system, top and bottom of the stairs, but 99 out of 100 social home providers now, they will be going far away and beyond that one, provide fit into an LD2 system, covering kitchens and living areas.
Okay, so is it sort of with carbon monoxide alarms, are they not in many properties at the moment at all, or
certainly from what we've seen, there's been quite a few properties that do have carbon monoxide alarms in there. In the area that I cover in the North East and Cumbria, about 85% of the properties within social housing have been covered by a CO alarm. It's just obviously now clearing up that further 15%. The big one to take from this is it doesn't have to be a mains powered product, so the battery powered products can suffice. So like I say, just from the Aico point of view, EI208, one of them where in a room where you've got a fixed combustion appliance, that's absolutely fine.
Cool. So can you just outline what a fixed combustion appliance is, and does it include cookers?
So it essentially covers everything barring a cooker. So if you've got a gas fire in a living area, that needs to be covered by a CO alarm. A gas boiler in a kitchen, again, that needs to be covered. Gas boiler in a bedroom, once more, that'll have to be covered as well. So it's essentially any product within a home that's burning fuel, barring a cooking appliance, needs to be covered by a CO alarm.
Okay. So touch on it a little bit there, but what will the new regulations cover exactly? And what do landlords need to do to be compliant?
So like I say, before the 1st of October this calendar year, they will have to put a carbon monoxide alarm in all of their properties. So like I say, if they've got a gas fire in a living area, they've got a gas boiler in a kitchen, both that living room and that kitchen will have to be covered. If they've got a solid fuel burning appliance in a dining room, an old coal fire in a dining room, once more, that they will have to be covered as well. So every room where they've got a fuel burning appliance will have to be covered. And once more, with the smoke alarms, they'll have to ensure they've got them in every floor as well.
Okay, so what responsibilities are the landlords and what responsibilities are the tenants?
It's essentially all on the landlord. So it's down to the landlord and this to then be installing the carbon monoxide alarms to manufacturers' recommendations as well. So they should be following the recommendations of ourselves at Aico or any other manufacturer in how to install them. So whether it be to be 1 to 3 metres ceiling mounted away from that appliance, whether it be wall mounted in rooms where the appliance isn't, or whether it be even down to the fixings as well. So some people say that they're fixing to the ceiling with a mastic, or some people say fixing to the ceilings with screws. Like I say, they'll have to be following the manufacturer's recommendations when they are installing these new products.
Okay, and then the residents, they are in charge of testing their own alarms?
They are, yes.
So that the responsibility ends there with the landlord.
So the responsibility is essentially, it does end there. So the resident, they have to be testing their alarms once a month. So simply just pressing the test button on the alarm once a month. But in turn with that, if 1 month they do press the test button on the CO alarm or the smoke alarm and that is not working, that responsibility now to replace that product or repair that product is put now back on the landlord. So they will have to go out and issue the repairs and maintenance on them products. So it's on them
as soon as they're notified, they need to
act and go and rectify the problem.
Okay, and So you covered it already, but the new regulations are coming into place on the 1st of October.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of confusion with that one. Sorry,
no, you go.
Across there, Holly. People thinking that's a compliance date, so we need to start installing them by the 1st of October.
But they need to be in the buildings.
They need to be in the buildings by the 1st of October,
Okay.
yeah, so there's been quite a lot of confusion about this one.
Right, and is there a grace period for compliance, or
Currently,
is it...
no.
No, so
Currently, no.
you have
have to be in by the 1st of October, yes.
And is there, how's that going to be regulated? Is it...
So, Holly, that'll be regulated by the local authorities where governing the areas where the housing providers are. So if the local authority feels there's a good reason that the housing associations or the local authorities aren't fitting carbon monoxide alarms, they will then issuing the landlords with a remedial notice. So that'll then give them 28 days to then go and carry out them work, so install the CO alarms, install the smoke alarms.
Okay.
And in turn with that, if they don't start complying with the remedial notices, there is liable to a £5,000 fine per property where they don't fit the CO alarms or fit the smoke alarms.
So
it's,
it can be pretty hefty then if they don't
yeah. So it's something that should be all over now, hopefully, anyway.
Yeah, of course. So other than supplying the CO alarms, Aico are here to help in other ways to support landlords in achieving compliance with the new regulations. Can you just outline like what we can do and you as RSMs can do to support landlords across the UK?
Yeah, certainly. So what I've been doing up in the North East, we've been starting off with point of sales for trade counters. So we've been then issuing trade counters free of charge point of sales, electrical wholesalers, so then they can then speak around it with their customers, go in and they leave it to the wholesalers and to educate a little bit more to their customers what they need to be doing. We've also got some Z cards as well, so the Z cards are great. It's nice, easy, can fit in someone's back pocket, then it's going to give them everything that you essentially need to know in regards to changing legislation, CO alarms, what they need to be doing from there. We've also got some leaflets as well, so I've been handing out some leaflets to the contractors with them been passing that on to the tenants as well, so at least the tenants are understanding a little bit more why they need to be fitting the CO alarms in. Essentially it's there to keep them safe.
Because would you agree that residents don't know that much about the dangers of carbon monoxide and like how
couldn't agree with you more.
Serious it actually is.
Couldn't agree with you more. So like I say, so the tenant safety cards and tenant user cards that we've got as a business. And again, there's egg cards as well, so there's a lot on there about CO safety and CO symptoms as well, so it's great to pass on to the tenant when they're doing the initial install. And also some CPD training that we can offer the installers as well to ensure that they are fitting the correct products in the correct places.
Yeah, brilliant. Is there anything else that you feel people need to know about the legislation?
Yeah, just a couple more things on this one. So the first one is where people are getting a little bit confused with it is that they think they need to interlink it into the smoke alarms. They don't have to interlink it. They can just have a standalone carbon monoxide alarm in the property. So like I say, from our point of view, the i208, so that can be just fit anywhere within the home. And it doesn't have to be battery powered as well. So if you've already got an existing heat alarm within a kitchen, you can then use our combined heat CO alarms, and you can also use our standalone mains powered CO alarm as well. So it's as long as there's a CO alarm in there by the 1st of October, that's all they need to be worrying about now.
And do the products that the landlords choose to use need to comply to a specific British standard?
Yes, Ollie, so they need to ensure that all the CO alarms, whether they be mains powered, battery powered, combined heat and CO, they are manufactured in accordance with BS 50291.
Perfect. So is that everything covered? Are there any final points for landlords?
That's essentially everything's covered there. So the main thing to be taken away is that 1st of October, that's not the start date, that's the end date. They need to be trying to be compliant as much as possible by that date there. And again, so the main takeaway from that one is just making sure that all of them rooms where you've got a fixed combustion compliance has got that CO alarm installed in there.
Perfect. And do they need to be interlinked?
No. Standalone's absolutely fine.
Perfect. Cool, so thank you for joining us and telling everyone everything that they need to know about the new regulations. If you do need any support, you can go to our website, you can order guides and publications from there that surround the new regulations, and you can also contact your local Regional Specification Manager who would be more than happy to help you in meeting the requirements. So thank you very much.
So big thank you to Michael for joining us. Now we're going to go over to our resident app advert.
We're all used to smart devices, but what about smart homes? Aico with HomeLINK wants to make all housing smarter. And within these smart homes, we want to put your well-being first. But how does it work? And why would you want a smart connected home? By deploying a suite of sensors and alarms throughout a property, a variety of factors such as temperature, humidity, and carbon dioxide can be measured. Your fire, smoke, and carbon monoxide alarms will also be linked and monitored. This data is then funneled through powerful algorithms, delivering your home's health checks straight to the HomeLINK Resident app. Insights like these will enable you to live a safer, healthier life, but also be more efficient and aware of potential knock-on effects. For example, you'll be notified if a particular room is at risk of mould, or perhaps if dust mite allergens are present. You'll also know if the indoor air quality is affecting your productivity, pre-existing health conditions, or if it's dangerously cold. And much, much more. Previously, you'd be in the dark. But with HomeLINK, you'll discover these things early and be able to counter them before they even become an issue. It could be as simple as opening a window. The HomeLINK Resident app puts you in control of the health and well-being of your home and family, so that you're empowered to take the first steps before needing your landlord to step in.
Next, we are joined by our colleague from HomeLINK, Simon Flint, who will talk us through our new improved HomeLINK app for residents.
Hello, thank you for joining us today. I'm Holly Moore, Marketing Executive at Aico, and today I'm joined by Simon Flint.
Hello.
He is the Chief Information and Digital Officer at HomeLINK.
Well remembered.
Thank you. And today we're going to be talking about the new and improved HomeLINK app for residents, which Simon has been very heavily involved with the creation and the developments and stuff, haven't you?
That's true, yeah.
So do you want to start by just giving everyone like an overview of the app and what it's for and what it does, why people might want to use it?
Yeah, so this is actually the third version of the HomeLINK app for residents. So the way that we've kind of developed this app is with residents themselves. So we've got residents from all around the United Kingdom that we've been working with for the last couple of years who've been feeding into what they want to see on the app. And basically, it's providing them with information from the EI 1020 and EI 1025 sensors. So that's temperature, humidity, carbon dioxide, and also giving them an overview of their fire and carbon monoxide alarms as well to ensure that their home is safely protected.
Okay, so when you've been working with the residents then, what are the sort of features that they've asked for the most?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our platform does a lot of analytics. So it takes the raw data from the sensors and performs some machine learning on top of them to work out whether a property is at risk of condensation, damp and mould, whether there's a risk of things like allergens, dust mites, whether the house is overly hot, whether it's too cold, and provides that in a really easily understood way to the end user. What we found is that by kind of producing multiple versions of the app and constantly iterating, we take the feedback from the residents and then make changes accordingly. So one of the pieces of feedback that we had is that if you're in a house that has many smoke and fire alarms installed and carbon monoxide alarms, that you get a lot of rooms. And on the old app, it was difficult to navigate because they were all on the bottom bar and you had to scroll left and right. So what we've done is on the new version, we've taken that feedback and we've introduced a new navigation mechanism. So it's a little dial at the top that shows you all the different rooms in your house, and you can tap each room to go to the room-specific details. So you can see temperature, humidity, carbon dioxide here, and also if there's any smoke or CO alarms installed, you can see whether they're functioning correctly. So that was one of the feedbacks that we had from residents, is that because there's a lot of information on the app, how do we make it more navigatable, if that's even a word, I'm sure it is. And also the other thing that we've been trying to do is to make the messaging clearer. So before we had a series of animations on the app, so we've got a little character there called Linky, and Linky's trying to show you how happy your house is and how happy each room is.
So he's got lots of different moods, hasn't he,
It's
Linky?
got lots of different moods. And in the old app, so version 2, we had kind of a traffic light system, so red, amber, green. And what we found, some of the feedback we had from residents, is that if there was kind of a slight problem in the home, it was showing amber, when really, you know, it didn't need to be at an amber level.
Yeah,
so
it was worrying them maybe a little bit unnecessarily.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we've done is we've created a more granular scale. So we now have 5 different colours. So it's more of a granular traffic light system. And that's as a result of just direct feedback from the residents. So any feedback that they have, any ideas that they have, we take on board.
That's really good, because obviously then it means it's working exactly how the residents want it to work. So obviously you've touched on the analytics and stuff, which is very in-depth, and you said that the messaging is quite simple on the app. What is some of the sort of things that it might say to the resident? It gives them tips and advice on sort of how to change the conditions in their home.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So it's about giving information to the resident in a way that's easily understandable. So the average reading age in the United Kingdom is 8 years of age, which is shocking, really.
Yeah.
So what we needed to do is make sure that no matter who was using this app, they would get benefit from it. So if you're not an English speaker, for instance, then we still needed to convey some sort of messaging to the end user. So that's really why Linky was invented. So just through having kind of a really simple scale, so here you can see the five moods of Linky with some text that kind of gives you an idea of what the state of the room is or the state of the overall home. And then we've tried to convey this Linky problems in terms of the analytics that we receive as well. So I mentioned a few of them before, but here you can see the kind of Linky scale for the insights as well. So too hot, too humid, too cold, dust mite, condensation, damp and mould, or whether carbon dioxide is too high in your home. So a lot of people confuse carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
I mean, the words are very, very similar, so you can understand why the confusion's there. Two very different things. So obviously, carbon monoxide is very dangerous, and we have a zero tolerance on carbon monoxide within the home, and that's where the carbon monoxide detectors come in. But what we're finding is, in this kind of new innovative way, that carbon dioxide can have an impact on your health. But most people, you can't see carbon dioxide. Most people don't have a feel for what carbon dioxide is. I mean, temperature, people understand when it's cold, when it's hot. Humidity, less well understood, but you can kind of understand if something's humid because it's wet. But with carbon dioxide, there's not that kind of understanding. So what the app's trying to do is give that information to the end user so they get a better understanding of why you should care about carbon dioxide. And that's things like cognitive ability can decline if you're in an area where there's high carbon dioxide. So you might feel groggy. I mean, we've all been in meeting rooms or Christmas dinner, for instance, when you're with your family, and the carbon dioxide's got quite high in the room and you feel sleepy. So just understanding what you can do, just opening a window to get more airflow through.
So say, for example, overnight, the CO2 levels would probably increase because you've been sleeping and there's lots of breath in the room.
That's exactly it, yeah.
So maybe in the morning, Linky wouldn't be happy and it would say, please open a window.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. And the nice thing about it is that because the sensors are put in different rooms, you get room level analytics.
Yeah.
So if you have one in your bedroom where you spend most of your time, or in the living room where CO2 would be highest because that's where most people spend their time, then you can get a very specific analytic around that room. So it's not just kind of a general kind of feel about the house, it's more specific than that, which means that you get more targeted advice and you can make a bigger difference to your property.
So I presume mostly these are put in like high risk rooms, so like bathrooms where it's humid, kitchen where there's lots of cooking fumes and stuff like that. Is that the recommended areas?
That's exactly it. So it's covering those. I mean, depending on the landlord and what they want to do and the problems they're trying to address, some have decided to put it in every room in the house, whereas others have gone for a more targeted approach. So it's entirely up to the landlord as to what they want to put in. Obviously, the more sensors you put in, the richer the analytics, the better picture of the property that you're going to get. That's in terms of like things like thermal efficiency. So the nice thing about having them in multiple rooms is if you've got a certain archetype of property, you can see where certain rooms are losing the most heat and have more targeted repairs. So that's also nice for the resident, because if there's a certain room that they're struggling to heat, you can spend the investment budget more effectively to benefit that resident's family.
Of course. So also on having it sort of in a room by room, it's giving them like a better understanding of where the pitfalls might be within their home. So say if they're using a lot of heating, they might stop using it in one room and use it more in another room.
Yeah, exactly that. And I mean, it's basically understanding what you're doing in your home.
Yeah.
So if you're overheating your home, obviously there's a cost involved there, so you can more effectively heat your home. From a landlord's perspective, if you want to do targeted investment to increase the thermal efficiency of a property, then you can look at how that investment was spent and the impact of that investment both before and after. So you can see how effective is it. If I'm going to roll this out across my entire stock, how has this investment really impacted these individuals?
So it's got lots of powerful information, basically. So from the user's end with the HomeLINK app for the residents, but also
for the portal for the landlords. They're getting lots of insights in there.
Yeah, and what's really nice about the Resident app is, this is the third version of the app, and as I mentioned, we're working closely with residents to really refine that, but it's specifically designed for residents.
Yeah.
So we're not just taking the dashboard that has all this information on it and throwing it towards the resident, because ultimately you get information overload. Really, I mean, things I didn't understand about what the impacts of carbon dioxide were. I didn't even understand what it was measured in before I joined HomeLINK. So having that information and kind of putting it in a really easily understandable format is key to making those changes.
Yeah, makes it a lot easier for residents to engage with it because it's so much more simple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that we've done with this particular version is we try to make it fun.
Yeah.
So I think every version that we've rolled out, people have said, yeah, this is great. I just don't want to have, information thrown at me. So we've got some really key new features in this version of the app that will hopefully make it more easy to use and encourage people to customize it.
Yeah.
So your home is your home. I mean, you decorate it, you look after it. It is your home. You're proud of your home.
So really the things where you think they're out of your control, like damp or mould, which I know that in my house, when I've got some, I'm like, I don't even know what to do with that. Is that something I've done, or is it because the windows are old? It sort of gives people a bit more of an insight and educational, basically.
Exactly.
So how to look after their home better.
Yeah, so with mould, it falls into basically two categories. There's structural and there's environmental.
Yeah.
So they're the causes behind mould, and sometimes it'd be a combination of both factors. And with the machine learning algorithms that we use, they create insights that are very specific. So they can help identify whether it's a structural problem or whether it's environmental, and then give advice to residents or to landlords as to what they can do to make that problem better.
Yeah. So you spoke about there's some new features on there.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about the new features?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I can see how excited you are already.
I'm very excited. So one of the key features I said, we want to make it kind of more fun to use.
Yeah.
So, I've mentioned the dial at the top, which is a new way to navigate, and you can see that we've got some images here that represent, the kind of key rooms that you have in your home. So we've got kitchen there, we've got living room. But what we wanted to do is kind of make it customizable. So what you can do is you can hold down the image, and you can effectively take photos or select an image yourself. So I'm just going to take one of you, Holly.
Oh, lovely.
So I'm going to use that photo there. So I've taken a picture of you there, Holly.
Yep.
And I'm going to say, yes, I want to use that. And now you can see that you are, in fact, my living room.
Oh, okay. So you can make it more homely by taking a photo of your rooms and putting it in
so
there.
you can
Makes
fully
it a bit more
customize
personal.
it. Yeah, exactly. So especially if you've got lots of rooms on the app, you can just, multiple bedrooms, for instance, then you can take, a picture of your master bedroom, maybe a children's bedroom, so you can see exactly which room you're looking at. Other new features that we've got involved here is this kind of, we've got this concept of Linky's Hub. Okay. So this is where we're putting kind of some things like settings, but also experimental features.
Yeah.
So if there's new things that we want to try with residents that we're not necessarily sure which will make the main app, but we want to play around with and get feedback on, that they'll be in this area here. So we've got this area called Playground, so you can turn on options. So I've got this option called Show the Linky Scale and Show the Goldilocks Scale. So if I go back to the main app here and I go to the room views, what this means is that I've got these kind of scales here where you can see where you are in the range of whether you're healthy or heading towards a more high risk for something like temperature, humidity or carbon dioxide. And then that aggregates up and rolls up to the room level here. So you can see in terms of that 5 scale that I mentioned, where am I on that scale? Yeah. So that's one of the key features that we've got there in terms of Linky's Playground. And we've also got this feature where you can invite friends and family to view the data. So the way this came about is that we were visiting a lady called Mary who was in her 90s, and she was using a very early version of the app. And whilst we were visiting her, her daughter actually came to the property and first off was like, what are you doing in my mother's home? And once we explained why we were there and what we were doing, she basically expressed an interest in seeing the data. So we thought, actually, this is quite a good idea. So for people that are vulnerable, that have carers, or just family members that are interested in the health and safety of a loved one, we've given them the option to share their data, to share a read-only version of the app with a friend or family.
Okay, so they would have to download the app as well, and then they just get certain areas of the information basically?
They would get an invite, so all the person has to do, so this is the owner of this is the resident themselves. They own the data, they can share the data, they can stop sharing the data, so they've got full control over who sees this data from a friends and family perspective. They just enter in the email and the first name and last name of the person they want to invite to the app. They will then receive an email, they can then download the app and get that read-only view. And then at a point in time, you know, if the resident doesn't want to share that data anymore, they can just come to the app, remove access. So it's fully within their control. The data is fully safe. It's not shared with anyone that they don't want to share the data with. Okay, that sounds good. So that's all really exciting. But knowing HomeLINK, I know you've probably got more exciting things coming up in the future. What's the road ahead for the HomeLINK app for residents? Yeah, brilliant question. So we've got so much coming up, which I'm really excited about. We've got a great team working on it as well. So it's not just me. We've got great designers, great product managers working on this at HomeLINK and other developers as well. So coming up, we've got energy integration. So we're going to be integrating with electricity and gas. So we can surface that information on the app and we can combine that with the analytics that we've already got to get a richer insight.
Yeah, so will that help with like fuel poverty and stuff like that?
That is the hot topic at the moment, no pun intended. It's, you know, I think I read this morning that fuel bills are now estimated to be over £4,000 for an average household, which is insane. So yes, the idea is that we can advise on how best to save energy, and you know, this also includes tariff information as well. So I think at the moment everyone's advised to stay on the same tariff, but you could potentially switch. So that's one aspect that we've got coming up. We've got basically refinement of the insights that we've already got, so richer insights around things like the structural versus environmental data that I mentioned earlier. We've also got more customization coming, so names, a library of images which you can select from. We've got more animations coming, and basically we're just continuing to work with residents to understand what they want from the app, because it's their app.
So it'll always be evolving, basically. It'll always be evolving.
So this is version 3. You know, obviously we'll have version 4, 5. We'll keep going until, you know, we've solved all the problems we're trying to solve.
No, that's really great. So how can people get the app?
That's a great question. So if you've got another great question.
There's so many great questions
So
today.
many great questions. So what the way that the app is rolled out at the moment is it's up to the landlord. So once the resident is part of the HomeLINK solution, so they've got the EI 1000G, which is the hub that actually connects everything together, and they've got the sensors or the smoke and carbon monoxide alarms installed. A landlord can just invite a resident to download the app, so just needs an email address and a name and potentially a telephone number if they want to provide that. The resident will then receive an email, download the app, and off they go. However, what we've introduced as part of this version is a demo mode. So anyone can download the app, just put your email address in and then just put the word demo in the postcode field and you can log in, see some static data, just get a feel for the app. It's completely offline as well. So just, you know, for landlords or residents that just want to see what it's about before they effectively start to use it, they can do that now.
Cool. So just as a nice way to finish it off, I know I've seen some good reviews from residents about the app, but what have you heard from residents? What's their feedback on the trials that they've done?
Yeah, it's been overwhelmingly positive. I mean, we're getting some great reviews on the app stores as well, which is always brilliant. But yeah, I mean, residents are saving money because they understand better how to heat their homes. They understand how to combat damp and mould. So even little things like just not drying clothes indoors. I mean, people don't necessarily realise that spikes humidity, or even after having a shower, opening a window, just really small things.
I think as well, people are so conscious about letting out the heat that they've got, maybe not in summer, but sort of as you move towards like autumn and stuff, but it's still important to do so you're not getting yourself in these situations.
Yeah, and also in terms of like the bigger picture, because landlords have this information and they can better target the residents that are most in need with effective investment in terms of things like insulation or even helping people that are in fuel poverty. The resident gets that benefit directly. So it's not just a pot of money that's spent across a stock. It's a more effectively targeting the people that need that money the most.
So people who need safer and healthier homes, basically.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, on that note, we'll finish it off.
Great.
It was really great hearing all about the app.
Yeah, thank you, Holly.
If you want to know more about it, you can visit our website. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Simon, for showing us the new exciting features of our app. Now we're going to look at our environmental sensor advert.
An exciting innovation in home life safety are HomeLINK environmental sensors. The EI1020 and EI1025 have been designed to create better maintained, healthier and energy efficient homes, helping with the Homes Act compliance and achieving net zero in an efficient and data-driven way. Subtle, secure and easy to install, our environmental sensors are placed throughout the home, measuring temperature, humidity and carbon dioxide, providing actionable insights into conditions such as mould risk, heat loss, ventilation, excess cold and heat, as well as indoor air quality. Designed with social landlords, our environmental sensors connect to the EI1000G SmartLink gateway and extract data to our innovative portal, providing information landlords will value most to optimize investment, identify and tackle fuel poverty, enable preventative maintenance strategies, and deliver unrivaled service to residents to create healthier homes. To find out more about our environmental sensors, visit www.aico.co.uk/HomeLINK.
Next up, HomeLINK's product manager, Jordan Toulson, joins us to talk about the Social Housing Decarbonisation Fund and how Aico can support you. So let's have a look how they get on.
Good afternoon, my name is Jordan Toulson and I'm a product manager at Aico HomeLINK. Today I'm going to talk to you about the SHDF, Social Housing Decarbonisation Fund. SHDF is a pot of money that the British government has made available to registered social landlords to help with the decarbonisation of their portfolio of properties. So SHDF Wave 2.1 is going to be released later this month or in early September, and the successful applicants are going to be awarded their money in February next year. The project should be finished by 2025. In the guidance documents for Wave 2.1, there's a very heavy influence of digitalisation. Now this is because in Wave 1, there was a small number of applicants that really successfully used digitalisation, smart home technologies and environmental monitoring to really show that the impact of the retrofit works that were completed did what they intended to do. There was very little or very few unintended consequences, and if there were any, they could be retrospectively fixed. And this meant that digitalisation is now a big part of Wave 2.1. This is going to be a really powerful way to make sure that you're compliant with PAS 2035, which as a basic monitoring requirement states that you need to deliver at least surveys to residents to understand if there are any unintended consequences that they are seeing within their home. But with the intermediate and advanced monitoring aspects of PAS 2035, it calls for direct monitoring of environmental information within the home. So temperature, humidity, and carbon dioxide levels are vital for that. This means that you can utilise Aico HomeLINK's EI1020 or EI1025 devices to monitor those environmental conditions within the home. In turn, this will give you access to damp and mould risk levels, indoor air quality metrics, and ventilation. That is really important to make sure that you're compliant with PAS 2035, and being compliant with PAS 2035 is mandatory for the SHDF funding. The guidance documents for the bid also refer to digitalisation strategies already being in place as being a benefit for RSLs that are making a bid for the funding. Now, if you'd like some help with making that bid and to understand more about how we can help with that digitalisation strategy, please do get in touch via our website, contact your local Regional Specification Manager, and we'd love to help you out. Thank you very much for your time.
So big thank you to Jordan Toulson there for joining us and walking us through that. In this episode, we're going to mix it up a bit and we're going to have a CSR update before our FAQ. So we're joined by Lily Ellis, our community liaison, to walk you through it.
Hi, I'm Lily, one of the community liaisons at Aico, coordinating our corporate social responsibility programme, Aico in the Community. So recently, colleagues have got involved with a lot of volunteering opportunities locally. So this has involved working at Osnosh, cooking meals in the kitchen and working on the food share tables. We've also gone to Mould Primary School, which is our local school, and helping them renovate one of the buildings for the pupils. We've also supported our charity of the year, Little Stars Baby Bank, sorting out clothes and baby items ready for them to send out bundles to the local community. Also, our chickens have really settled in. They're producing lots of eggs, and colleagues are bringing in their children to come and help and clean them out and make sure they're all happy.
Thank you, Lily, for the CSR update. It's great to see that our chickens are settling in.
So for our FAQ this week, fitting in with the changing legislations on CO alarms, we're going to take a look at the difference between sounds of heat and CO alarms. So thank you for joining us on Aico TV episode 32. Thanks for all our guests and thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Aico TV. We're also on the following social media platforms, which are...
So we have LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok.
Perfect. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.